Good morning, good morning, good morning. How you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm all right. Today on Good Morning Albany, we have Kema Kreations with a K.
With a K.
I like that.
Thank you.
I mean, it's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you.
So I want you to introduce yourself a little bit and let the viewers know what you do.
My name is Karen Maxwell. I go by Kema, which is a derivative of my name, and hence my business, Kema's Kreations, which I am now changing over to just be Kema as I rebrand. I am originally from Central America, Panama to be exact. I was raised in Brooklyn, New York. I attended Fashion Industries High School, which then led to my passion of being in the fashion industry.
Okay. So being in the fashion industry, you're an artist.
I am.
So how does an artist get paid and not solely be a starving artist?
That is a very difficult question to answer. It is very hard, and you have to do a couple things. You have to know what your passion is, and you have to know your why. And I've said this in many speeches before. You have to, when I say you have to know your why, you have to know what you want to do, and you have to be able to stick with it. There will be rough patches, and you have to know that everything comes to an end. Getting paid, there's no such thing as getting paid for about 5 years.
Mm.
So it's very difficult in this kind of industry. You have to know that when you're going into it, there's going to be a period of time where you will not be paid. Everything goes back into the business.
I'm a business owner.
Mm-hmm.
I've been in business maybe 8 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that's what helps me separate myself from everyone else
Mm-hmm.
is I invest. Everything goes back into the business. So I want you guys that's listening and watching to know you don't get your first check and go blow it on something that has nothing to do with your business.
Not at all.
So you said rough patches. Run me through maybe one of your biggest rough patches in the fashion industry.
One of my rough patches I could say is I'm probably in the midst of it right now, where I've put a lot of money into my business and it didn't turn out the way that I wanted it to. So there were events that took place that I thought would yield a high turnover, and it didn't work out the way that it did. And it was hard. You know, you go through your depressive moments and you have to realize this is what I want to be doing. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. You keep that side job, but you keep your business forefront. And that's kind of hard sometimes to distinguish between the two. Sometimes it becomes easier to just be like, you know what? Let me just get up and do this 9 to 5. It's a check that I can count on. But I can't stay there. I know that that's not where I belong. I belong doing what I want to do.
And I want the viewers to know. So you have your regular job,
I
and
do.
then you have Kema Kreations.
I do.
So now you're making X amount from this job and X amount from Kema Kreations.
Correct.
So in order for you to quit this job,
Mm-hmm.
Kema Kreations has to be more than both the jobs combined
Correct.
because you're living on both of them now.
Correct.
So I don't want you guys to think that you just start a job and then that's the end all be all.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you start a business and your job is just done because
Mm-hmm.
now you've become accustomed to both the salaries.
And yes, to an extent, because realistically, my full-time job is still paying portions of my business. So I have to get my business to that place where I'm comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And the reality of it is you're never comfortable. If you get comfortable, you lose your business.
Mm. So now you sew.
I do so.
So all your bags and garments are hand sewn.
Yes.
You gotta like walk me through something like this.
Okay. So on a typical day, if I have an order for a leather bag, I have a supplier in New York City. Most of my stuff comes from New York City or the UK or Canada. I would go down there. I would literally get a strip of leather that could be as big as this table or as small as the screen. And I cut it up, turn it into a bag. Literally, it sounds easy, but it really isn't. There's skiving that goes into it. There's design that goes into it. If I'm using someone else's pattern, I tend to alter it in some way, shape, or form because My creative mind doesn't allow me to look at something and see it just the way that it is. I always have to do something different to it. Being from Central America, in Panama, we have indigenous Indians that they do what is called reverse applique. So they take fabric of different colors and they lay them on each other and they hand sew them, and that becomes a pattern. It becomes a design in some way, shape, or form. I always tend to incorporate my culture into my designs, and that design is called mola. So I would take the mola designs that I get from my country and I put them on my bag, which is actually what I did for Harlem Fashion Week last year. I took the mola designs, I incorporated it into the clothing, into the bags, and I put my culture on the runway, not just Kema's Kreations, but I put my country on my back and I put it on the runway.
That's beautiful. So if you're sewing these things, the cost, like walk me through the cost of your bag and maybe like the material or something. Like how does this work?
Cost is such a huge factor, and it's so hard in my culture. And by culture, I mean us as African Americans. And I say that because it's hard for me to explain to someone the amount of time and work that I put into doing just a simple bag. Something that you may see that looks like a tote. It's just squarish, two handles, and you call it a day. That's not necessarily what I have to deal with. If it's a leather bag, I have to skive it. Skiving leather means that you have to thinning the leather down so that your machine is able to handle going through the different layers of leather. If you don't, it messes up your machine and the bag doesn't look, like it should. So I have to skive the leather. I have to create the pattern, cut the patterns. There's a whole lot that goes into it. There's the lining, there's the edging. So when you buy a bag, you ever see like it has that little what looks like rubber at the end of the edges of the bag? That's literally done by hand. That's not a machine. So all that stuff has to be done. But you have to incorporate your overhead, the time in that it's going into your machines. And a lot of my stuff has embroidery designs on it. So that's time that my machine is running also, even if I'm not there actually running the machine. So my time, your overhead, the time of the cost of the materials, all that stuff has to be evaluated in your cost. And it's hard for me to say to someone, yeah, the overall cost of that bag is 200 plus or 300 plus because it's a customized bag. It's a handmade bag. It's not something else that you're going to ever see someone else walking with.
Mm-hmm.
And then I get the pushback of, oh, nah, you want that much for a bag? Yeah, but I sat here and I made this bag for you. But they would rather go out and buy a micro course for the same amount of money where 300 other people has that same bag. So cost is very hard to explain when someone isn't in the business and doesn't understand the effort and the amount of time that goes into a product.
See, I fully understand that because coming in as a photographer, I'm self-taught. I went to YouTube University. I knew nothing about photography. So I'm gauging my prices off of like Picture People and I Smile. And as I'm learning that I'm a boutique business. So my prices are going to be higher than those Walmart style pictures. So, but introducing that into my clients was hard as well. Knowing my value and showing my value and demanding my value was hard. So I see exactly what you're saying. And then as I'm learning business, those clients that's giving you pushback aren't your ideal client.
They're not my market. And that was hard for me to understand and to accept that. It was like literally I had my daughter constantly saying to me, Mom, it's okay to say no. They're not your market. But for me, I would just start thinking in my head, okay, how can I reduce this? How can I make sure that they get this item because they want it? But I was cutting myself short to make sure that you had what you had. And then like it literally occurred to me that there was a time when I had said something to my daughter that I didn't then put into practice myself. My daughter started college really young. She started at 16. And at one of her award ceremonies, I said to her, never lower your self-esteem to boost somebody else's ego. I didn't realize for a long time, actually until the end of last year, that I was lowering myself just to give somebody else something that they wanted. But it was something that I worked so hard to create for them, but my value wasn't there. And it's really hard as business, as entrepreneurs, as sole proprietors to get into that mindset.
You have to get into that mindset, and you have to maybe structure your business a little different. Because
Mhm.
what I'm seeing is like my packages come in threes.
Mhm.
Everything that we buy in life is in a package. From the car you buy, from the fast food you buy, everything is bundled.
Mhm.
Every time you add on something else, they say it's a better value when it's really not. So maybe you can make 3 tiers of bags.
Mhm.
You got a tier, I don't know, 100, another tier is 200, another tier is 300.
And I've done exactly that. So my what they call faux leather, it would be one tier. Then you have your fabric, which is another tier, which will be the lower tier. So you have your fabric, your faux leather, and then your leather. So I got you on the threes.
Okay, I like that. So now is every order custom made?
Yes. I sit and I make every bag myself. I have no staff. It's all me. When you ask for a bag, it's all made by my hands.
So if everything is custom made, how does this work out with time?
It's hard because, again, I have a full-time job. I'm a business analyst for the Department of Health. So there's no downtime. I don't have that time where I could get up and leave my job and go do something and come back. I'm there 8 hours, sometimes 10 or 12. And then I leave there and I go and I do my business. So I don't look at my job as where my paycheck comes from. That's my part-time job. My business, that's my full-time job. So there are times where on the weekends, I'm in my job literally all night. I don't leave. I don't sleep. Sometimes I'm not eating. I'm there getting my stuff done because in the end, that's where I want to be. I want Kema's Kreations or Kema's to be my full-time job.
So how do you scale a business if every order is custom?
You have to time management, and it's not easy. Sometimes I have to get someone to come in and help me, and by that I would mean someone that comes in and clean up because I'm sewing. I'm not thinking about cleaning up scraps and all that other stuff. Sometimes that could mean someone coming in and doing the cutting, which I have to be honest with you and tell you. The cutting part is just the worst. I hate cutting patterns, and it's very time consuming. It could be something as simple as washing the fabric. What folks don't realize is fabric shrinks. So the best way to get a fit, whether it be for clothing or bags, is you have to wash that fabric first.
Hmm.
And if I have 10 yards of fabric, I have to wash 10 yards of fabric. I can't cut it and then wash it. I'm losing what I need. So time management, and you have to have help. No matter
So
what, you have to have help. You can't do something alone.
the cutting the fabric,
Hmm.
is there a machine out there that can cut fabric?
Yes, but considering the level that I'm at, that's not beneficial for me right now. One, I don't have the space for it. And two, it's something that at this moment I would not be able to afford.
Hmm.
And let me be clear, I do have amazing investors. I have amazing investors that have started investing in me, have started confiding in my work and trusting my work. However, I'm still not at the level where I would want to get something that's so huge because I'm not making the money to be able to pay for that. So I wouldn't want to put myself in that type of debt.
So being a photographer is one thing. There's
Mhm.
maybe 1,000,006,000,000,000 photographers in the world.
Mhm.
The business side of it has been the hardest thing. And that's where I see a lot of artists, a lot of business owners hang up on is the business side of it.
Mhm.
So I watched this guy, Marcus Lemonis. He's a $1 million investor. And the three things that he focuses on, because he comes in and he helps failing businesses, and I love it. Come on, like CNBC. And this guy says it's three things to help your business succeed. It's the people,
Mhm.
the process, and the product. From sitting here talking to you, you seem like your head is on your shoulders, your heart is there, good people.
Thank you.
The product, it seems high quality, good product.
Thank you.
Where I think the hiccup is the process.
Mm-hmm.
We have to sit here, even if we talk off camera, and figure out how to better the process. Because custom orders is just seeming like you're always shoveling backwards. Like custom.
To an extent. And it would be a lot easier to outsource
Mhm.
my product, because then I would be able to get more of it. And there are those companies out there. There are some local, well, not necessarily locally, but at least within the state. And then there are some that are significantly cheaper overseas that I could be like, here's the pattern, create it. The problem with that is because my product is customized. So if you come to me and you say, Kema, I need a leather duffel bag, and I need it to have my logo and my company name on it, that part of it, I'm doing. I don't, usually with those companies, they're banging out stuff that's the same product
Mhm.
all the time. The customization of it or the personalization of it is the part that I have to do. So even if you came to me and I said, okay, this is what we're going to do, and I sent it out for them to do the cutting and all that other stuff, right? Once it comes back to me, I still have to get your name and your logo on that bag.
But how much time did you save by sending it out?
It depends on where it's going.
Mhm.
If it's going to some place within the state, I may have saved time, but I'm paying more. If I send it overseas, I save money, but I lose time
Mhm.
because they're overseas. So the time that it takes for them to cut it out, get it back to me, and I still have to put the bag together, because it's easier for me to customize the bag or embroider the bag when it's flat. When it's in its 3D
Yeah, I understand
physicality, it's harder.
exactly. I see exactly what you're saying. I'm saying, how much time do you save by sending it out to get cut? How much time do you spend cutting leather?
I used to spend a lot of time cutting leather, and here's what happened. The reason that got reduced, and again, I'm moving towards exactly the path that you're trying
Mhm.
to put me on. And that actually happened right before I got here. So because of the amazing investors that I have gotten, I literally got my skiving machine delivered today. So where I was literally sitting there with a razor that's like 1.5 inches long and pulling leather through it to thinning it, I now have a machine that literally does it in less than a minute. So it makes that process easier. And as I now can bang out more product because of something as simple as a skiving machine, I can now create more income and revenue to be able to get more product and get the next machine that I need. Because there are 2 other machines that I still would like to have that would make my product better. But ultimately, my goal is to be able to sew when I want to sew. I want to make sleep money, that when I'm asleep, my bank account is still being loaded, not necessarily me working 2 jobs and then my company to be able to do this. So I'm moving in that direction. I was about to say that it hasn't been as quickly as I needed to be, but that is not true. The truth of the matter is that I've come across amazing people like the Community Loan Fund, where when I started my business, this was just me, where folks would be like, oh, you know how to sew. Can you just do this? And I would. I wasn't even charging for it. At some point, I got to the realization where I'm just like, you know what? This is another stream of income. Why am I not utilizing it? And I think that's another area where we as entrepreneurs fall short. We put all our eggs in one basket. Like with you, I can honestly say to you that I'm super proud of you as a business owner.
Thank you.
You have not only your photography, but you have this means. It's different streams of income. You know what I mean? And that's what we have to keep in mind, that you have to create aspects where if this falls short or if this isn't moving fast enough, you have this to depend on. And that's where my life has been. Therefore, I keep my paycheck because that gives me my health insurance, is a steady check. I know it's coming every 2 weeks, and I can depend on that even when I have not sold a bag.
Mm.
So I still have that stream of revenue that I can depend on, but I have to work harder for what I want, not necessarily what I have.
And I love that because people see success and think it just happens overnight.
Mm-hmm.
There's no such thing as instant gratification in business.
Amen.
So you're hustling. You're working this job. You're doing this. You're how you say skiving this and
Skiving.
skiving.
Yes.
So you're skiving this. So I just wanted to let the people know she's hustling. Before we move any further, how can the people find you?
At my phone number for my business is 518-481-0510. I have a website, www.kemas both with a K.com. And I'm always around. I'm always around. On Facebook, I'm Kema Kreations. On Instagram, I'm Kema Kreations. I'm old. I do not have Twitter. I do not have Snap. I don't have any of that. I just have my Facebook and my Instagram account. And then there's my website. So most people usually reach me through Facebook. They inbox me through Facebook. They come on the website and buy bags. Most folks call me, and that's where we get into that personalization. This is what I want. This is how I want it. This is what I want on it.
Okay. Walk me through the process of finding an investor.
That was probably a little bit easier for me than most. And I have to be honest with you and tell you that my blessings have been amazing to the point where my cup runneth over. And I say that because my neighbor literally was a lady by the name of Lissa who worked at the Community Loan Fund. We started walking. We just started walking the golf course. And she started asking me about my sewing. What told her about it, and she's like, we have a space at the Community Loan Fund. And I ended up with my own business location. They are now increasing the Community Loan Fund. They have gotten some grants to be able to move the business and make it bigger. And part of that business plan has been for me to have my storefront. So my path of finding investors has been a little bit different than the normal path of finding investors. So Lissa led me to the Community Loan Fund. The Community Loan Fund has all these different business courses. They were the ones who sat with me, put me through an 8-week course, had me write my business plan. And I've then been introduced to the board of directors. And in speaking and meeting with all these different peoples and all the different events that they've put together, I've been able to just come up with investors, folks that are just like, you know what, we like your product and we're willing to invest in it. I went literally, I know this sounds crazy, but I went to a funeral, met a friend. That friend knew of a friend who always donated to different types of Black business owners. And she wrote me a check and was like, you need a machine? Not a problem. Here you go. She didn't even sign the paperwork before she gave me the money and just said, I don't really need that, but I'm more than willing to accept that that is your business process. Pay me when you have it. So it's been completely different from the normal path of finding investors. And that's why I say that I'm blessed, because literally the folks that have invested in me and my business have literally just fell into my lap. I didn't go looking for them.
Okay. Break down the Community Loan Fund for me.
The Community Loan Fund is amazing. The Community Loan Fund, there's a bigger umbrella organization called ACES. At the Community Loan Fund, which is located at 255 Orange Street, they have little what they call incubator spaces. And they're basically, back in the day when they first started the program, they would get you going. And once your business was up enough and running, you were then sent out into the world to make your business work. Now, the way the model works is you stay there for as long as you can. You don't necessarily have to leave. Like there was another organization, and I'm sorry, I don't remember the name of the company right now, but there was a lady who was addicted to drugs. And when she got off of those drugs, she decided that she wanted to help people like her. She started the program where she was assisting folks to find jobs out of jail or if they had drug issues. And she's now had her business, I think, for like maybe 10 plus years. And she literally just left the building. She bought her own building, and now she has her own building and managing her business. She has about, I think, like 15 or 20 employees now. When she first started out, it was just her and 2 other workers who also used to have their own struggles. So you can stay there for as long as you want. They're pretty much amazing folks. Like, again, when I fell into that financial situation, I went, sat down, spoke to them, and they're like, Kema, we got you. Don't worry about it. When you can get to that point, we'll get you back to that point. They've helped me with my rent. There's been days where I'm like, I just don't have it right now. I haven't been selling. And they're like, no problem. I had medical issues where I had torn my Achilles. They let me slide. So they literally push you. Every event, they're like, Kema, we need you to be there. They have a whole banner with me on it where everywhere they go, that banner is there. So I'm constantly being seen by their investors. My banner was there when the comptroller for New York State and the governor went to meet with them. They were seeing my face when I was or wasn't there. So the community loan fund keeps me forefront whether I'm present or not.
So moving forward, how are you looking to grow the business?
I want to, in 5 years, I see myself having my storefront. I don't necessarily want to leave Albany yet, but I see most of my business being done in New York City, simply because the fashion industry is a lot larger than it is in Albany. And although we are trying to grow it in Albany, I still have more business down in New York City than I do here locally. I don't have to haggle with anyone about my prices down there. We're still not there comfortably in Albany. So in 5 years, I see myself having my own and not working for the state anymore.
Everything that I'm doing moving forward, I'm looking to invest in other businesses and start other businesses, and everything is online. Everything is online. I'm late to the party, so if you aren't online, like, we're just late to the party. But moving forward, all my businesses are going to be online. How do you get Kema Kreations online?
Kema's Kreations is already online. What I have to do is grow Kema's Kreations online and get it to a point where customization doesn't take the time frame that it currently takes. So within those 5 years, Kema's Kreation will have the staff that's needed to get me to a point where when you order a bag, within a couple of days, that bag is in your hand, customized the way you want it to be, not the weeks that it's currently taken me to get that customization done.
Okay. If anyone is listening and they want to do what you do, what words of encouragement do you have for them?
Know your why. And I say know your why again because it is important to know what you want to be doing and where you want to be. And we can't make folks believe that going into this, you're going to start out and everything is going to be good and great. When we do that, when we're not totally honest about what's going on, people fall short because they're not ready for it. We have to get them ready for what's coming. If you know what's coming, you can be prepared on how to handle it. And there were so many things that, although I knew so many aspects of the business, there were things I wasn't ready for. And you hit on it. Again, I'm 50 years old. Online, that's not my thing. My kid is who handles Facebook and Instagram and all that stuff because that's where my business is. Like a lot of those people see me mostly because of those avenues. But if you were to ask me, what are the analytics of Facebook? I'm going to be like, yeah, I'll have you speak to my daughter. That's That's not, I know that it's there. I know what I'm looking at when it's saying, okay, let's boost this. Yeah, that's her. That's not me. You have to know all aspects of your business. Do I know that that's taking place? Absolutely. Am I the one controlling it? No, but I know it's happening. Another place that we fall short is not knowing everything straight across the board. And that's where people mess up. You have to know, for me, as a seamstress, I need to know 3 things. 1, what's in my bank account? Who do I owe? And who owe me? Those are the 3 things that I always need to know. Outside of that, I need to have placement in what's going in, meaning product, what's going out, what's happening on social media, how many views is there being, collected, how many shares, which is as important. Believe it or not, I found that out lately. So you have to know all the aspects of what's going on in your business. It can't just be sewing. Sewing happened to be one of the least things that I do now, which is the one thing that I do love. But because I made it a business, I had to learn everything else. So you have to know everything straight across the board. And to anyone coming behind me, I would say stay ahead of what you want to do. If fashion is what you want to do, stay ahead of it. Don't be in line with it. Stay ahead of it. Know what you want to do. And don't let people talk you into things. So here's something about me. I don't know how to draw. I don't know how to draw a lick. You want me to draw something? It's going to be a stick figure. But I know what I want in my head. So I can take patterns of different patterns and put it together. Or I can take paper and draw out what I want, meaning I can cut a shirt pattern out of paper. But if you ask me to put that as a design on paper, yeah, it's going to look like matches. It's not going to work. But it didn't stop me from doing what I want to do. I cannot sketch. I cannot draw. I'm not putting none of that together for you. But if you ask me to make you a bag, I promise you'll have it. If you ask me to make you a dress, I promise you'll have it. But you're just not going to see it on paper. It's not going to happen. So don't let your shortcomings stop you from being where you want to be. There's always a way around.
Always a way around. Know your why. I think we covered a lot.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I want you to let the people know how can they find you one more time.
My name is Kema. My website is www.kemascreations, that's KEMASKREATIONS.com. You can find me at Kema Kreations on Facebook, at Kema Kreations on Instagram. And again, my phone number is 518-0510.
I love it. For which camera I'm looking at? This one. For everyone that's listening and watching, make sure you get up, you get out, and you get you some. This camera, bless up.